the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Good evening, beautiful people. Welcome to this new edition of the weather forecast. We all expect calm weather to dominate across the national territory both tonight and in the morning, though you feel slight discomfort due to heat until the end of the day. We'll have a minimum temperature of 18 degrees, that is in the northwest region, the west and the center region. 24 degrees is expected in the southwest region, 25 in the south and in the far north region, and 26 degrees in the littoral region of the country. For details, ladies and gentlemen, follow me to the north region, where no showers are expected this evening. Clear skies are not likely to dominate in the whole region, both tonight and in the morning, where we'll have a drop of 5 degrees to reach 21 to 27 degrees. Next, we go to the Adamawa region, where no showers are expected this evening. The same weather condition is likely to prevail until the morning, and we will have a minimum temperature of 17 to 25 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, let's end with the east region, where it will be partially cloudy in the whole region this evening. The same weather condition is likely to prevail until the morning, except in Beltwa, where clear skies are likely to dominate. We'll have a minimum temperature of 20 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to find time and go visit Mount Cameroon. Do not forget to respect barrier measures. Good night. God bless you.
That was the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Coronavirus cases and deaths tick up in Cameroon in spite of the rollback restrictions and decentralized testing and treatment centers. The 7:30 News presents the structures tasked to manage the pandemic. The National Confederation of Cotton Producers agrees to bury the hatchets and address their difficulties through dialogue and an extraordinary meeting in Garua. The organization of the African Nations Championship and the refinement of the African Nations Corps in Cameroon next year are gauged by Prime Minister, Head of Government at a 38th committee meeting. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News. We're sorry for the late start.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Cameroon counts close to 10,000 coronavirus infections and more than 100 deaths in 2 months. These worrying figures water down efforts made by governments to house the virus, such as the creation of testing and treatment centers across the country. In Yaoundé, the central and general hospitals, plus the Olembe makeshift treatment center, are at the disposal of the public. Cynthia Saptala now finds out how operational they are.
This is a current view of those specialized COVID-19 treatment centers at the selected hospitals meant to receive cases. At EPC Jongolo Health Center, the doors of the wards are closed, 110 beds unoccupied. The medical authority confirms that they do not treat patients, but remain a site for COVID-19 tests. Same observation at the Yaoundé Central Hospital, where the isolation unit and the reanimation unit for COVID-19 patients have today regained their normal function. At the Jamo Hospital, the main activity here is that of screening. Officials say per day, about 50 individuals are tested, with approximately 5 positive cases per day after a rapid test and 12 after the PCR test.
Since the month of June, the Jamo Hospital ceased to be a treatment center for COVID-19 cases based on directives from the head of government. However, we didn't stop screening for COVID-19. In the month of December, we started getting more and more positive cases of the virus. Positive cases, when discovered, are still being referred to the makeshift hospital at the former Orca building.
With the Olembe makeshift treatment center shut down, plus that at the Yaoundé General Hospital, many health practitioners say with the resurgence, the former Orca building may soon be full to capacity.
The track, test and treat approach adopted by governments to limit the spread of the virus is a commendable option that has enabled many a Cameroonian know their status and begin treatment on time. But just how deployed are the teams and how is the care organized? Iwane Pole tells us more.
Coronavirus testing has been made accessible to all in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, as government has made it free and a number of well-equipped health structures are available in some popular neighborhoods of the city.
They are Yaoundé Multipurpose Complex, we name Paposi, EPC of Jungolo, Fandena, CMA of Mendon and CMA of Oyomaba. Why we have the second and third category hospital like Yaoundé Central Hospital, HGOP, CNPS medical centers.
Cases of COVID-19 are handled in specialized health centers.
All symptomatic cases are treated at the former Orca building, next of Yaoundé Central Hospital, at all our rapid screening testing centers.
Cameroon adopted the 3T strategy, tracking, testing and treatment, in a bid to flatten the curve of the propagation of COVID-19 in the country.
The potential shift in the trajectory of coronavirus infections is attributed to loosened restrictions outlined by government. 1 year down the line, public administrations expected to serve as examples flaunt health prevention actions. Prince Will Mukwele Aduma confirms this observation in the following report.
Reports of alarming numbers of COVID-19 cases, yet no fire on the mountain at this public office in Yaoundé, where filing of opportunities takes precedence over wearing of face masks. No washing hand points spotted. The respect of government measures in public offices appears optional.
It is really serious because we hear on air every day the cases that come up.
There is no respect. Anybody can and enter without mask and there is no water to wash hands.
A conscious-looking staff at the Ministry of Finance, but lack of rigor in many offices weakens the fight.
If the government said that you are not going to go out in your house, you will not go out. You will not enter in the office without putting your mask. You will not go in.
To specialized services, a general lapse takes collective endeavors to point zero.
People think that this disease does not concern them. That is why here in the Ministry of Finance, we are about to take certain measures. They have to sensitize the population.
A change of behavior in government offices, many agree, sets the tone for a nationwide awakening in this critical period of the pandemic.
And still on the fight against coronavirus pandemic, the People's Republic of China has donated 200,000 doses of its anti-COVID-19 vaccine to Cameroon. The Chinese ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Wang Yingwu, made the announcement at an audience today with External Relations Minister Mbila. On the essence of the offer, here's the Chinese ambassador.
The Chinese government has decided to make a vaccination donation to the government of Cameroon to support its anti-COVID-19 stride. It is the donation of 200,000 doses of Sinovac produced by the Chinese pharmaceutical company. 100,000 people will be vaccinated. This is the fulfillment of President Xi Jinping's will to make the Chinese vaccine a public good, especially to developing countries and Africa in particular, to protect the people.
And now on to our launch procedure to the International Women's Day celebration. We profile an astute researcher at the Institute of Agricultural Research for Development, IRAD. Dr. Pauline Munjuempu Limi, specialized in food processing with over 2 decades of experience, is the first female research director of the institute. Romeo Kenny says her success so relies on diligence.
Some 19 years ago, she was here as an intern. Today, Dr. Pauline Munjuempu Limi is back in this food laboratory as director of research. A dream she kept alive working hard in food processing inquiries.
I always see at a special period of the year, there are many losses on food. I start thinking to make that fruit available all over the years.
In her lab coat, she attests it hasn't been easy as a woman making a difference in a job often considered that of men. Before her appointment at IRAD on January 16, 2020, Dr. Munjuempu was a research expert at the University of Ngaoundéré.
I have put on place many food to fight to some malnutrition.
This wife and mother of many was lately honored on February 24, 2021 on National Scientific Day. Cognizant of the fact that the road to success has been rocky, the researcher says she will stop at nothing encouraging women to join the noble research occupation.
From women in research to women in justice, they're using the commemorative activities to take the commitment to attend to files in need of justice. Coming from 4 jurisdictions in Yaoundé, they sat for a conference at the Center Court of Appeal to deliberate on the role of women leaders in an era of COVID-19. Emmanuel Anvemier tells us more.
Far from the courtroom setting where they decide who is guilty or not from one crime or the other, these women from the Center Court of Appeal and the Courts of First Instance of Yaoundé and Ikunu are exploring ways to foster female leadership during this era of COVID-19. They agree to have been seen by others as different due to the work they do, yet maintain that women in justice are women like any other.
In justice, wherever we find ourselves, it doesn't change the fact that you are a woman, you are a mother, like every other woman.
COVID-19 has cancelled their annual sporting events, but these women in justice are bent on reaching out to the less privileged throughout this week.
We started today with a roundtable conference. We'll have to visit the orphanage and then give them some gifts. Friday, we'll have a clean-up campaign in our jurisdiction.
Present to accompany the women, the men for a better world.
In the West region, focus is being laid on the empowerment of women through job creation activities. During a 5-day training program organized by a non-governmental organization, Activity Spaces, in collaboration with the Canadian High Commission, the women received tips on the setting up and the management of enterprises. Chair Temberg has the details.
Some 20 women from across the West region have benefited from the entrepreneurship training. They are living satisfied and pumped up to breathe new life into their businesses. The Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, His Excellency Richard Bali, principal partner, was delighted with the results obtained.
So in supporting this project here, we had, I guess, one short-term objective and a couple of longer-term objectives. The short-term objective was to deliver a successful training program that took 20 rural women who had a business idea and exposed them to more modern technological tools.
Financial support and funds were given to them by partners, including the Nyats Foundation, in order to support them in the expansion of their businesses. Chair.
And now on to one of our top stories. There will be no protest by cotton producers in Cameroon, as earlier rumored. The National Confederation of Cotton Producers has opted to address issues plaguing the sector through dialogue, and this was at an extraordinary meeting in Garoua. Wilson Mengole tells us more.
The crisis meeting between the National Confederation of Cotton Producers and the Cameroon Cotton Development Company, Sodi Cotton, was to debunk multiple stories on an impending strike action. We are here to resolve the conflict between two directors. The executive director will no longer control cultivators. He has to return to Sodikoton. It's time for us to elect a new director. The Gawa conclave was to bury the hatchet and to prepare for future election. Without Sodikoton, there were no cultivators. Without cultivators, Sodikoton wouldn't exist. The decision taken to revise the convention is because the convention is old. Thereafter, we are going to call for candidates to submit their documents for the post of president. The association is bent on training the 250,000 cultivators on modern farming techniques and on ways to better market their products.
Employment and vocational training opportunities have come under review in a 3-day working visit opened by Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari. A wood processing enterprise in Fu and the Razel company in Komtu are the first structures to benefit from an evaluation in the presence of the governor of the Central Region, Nasiri Paul Beya. Joyce Tata was there, now reports.
On a mission to further stir up the creation of job opportunities for Cameroon's youth. At this wood processing Italian company in Fu, the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training alongside other officials were clearly explained to the challenges faced with most youths today due to lack of professionalism. An opportunity for government officials to know the realities on ground which slows down youth employment in order to find a rapid remedy. The next stop was at the civil engineering company in Komtu, still in the Central Region, with about 95% of its workers Cameroonians.
Well, we need the best technicians. So this is helping to coordinate the efforts of the government with our own efforts too, and try to reach the best training we can give to young and also older people.
While visiting the training center of the enterprise and some production units, it is government's plea that the more youth be trained in sectors as such to be professional enough and fight unemployment. 4 more enterprises will be visited this Wednesday and Thursday for the same exercise.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Before we take you to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, let's now zoom in on the phenomenon of streaming television programs on different platforms on the social media. This new mode of content getting is attracting many viewers who find the option more convenient. How accessible are these offers? Jeron Nanji Yambe speaks to some social media enthusiasts in this report.
Digital and internet technologies have come to enable viewers watch TV shows at their convenience.
Most times I go on Twitter. If I see our national TV stations, there are programs I would like to watch, CRTV, Equinox. I get notifications whenever they have programs. I go and watch them. I don't need now be waiting that, okay, I must sit in my parlor to watch the TV.
My Facebook account, I can watch a CRTV program through their Facebook platform, CRTV Web. They usually beam their programs. There are other private television stations who are adapting to social media trend to share links of their live programs on air. If there is no electricity and you have mobile connection in your phone, you can always watch the TV.
TV producers maintain that the new media serves as complement to the traditional medium of communication.
They are very helpful for the classic medias in terms of reaching the new public, the new followers. We have to encourage these broadcasters to go through these platforms. You reach and you touch direct public, and you have the feedback.
Whatever the case, this new mode of television consumption has come to stay.
It is essential that the population continues to wear well-fitted masks and to take other prevention actions to halt the spread of the coronavirus. There is a considerable increase in infections in urban areas than in rural settings. What accounts for this difference? Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Joseph Fulcom, attempt answers from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening. These were areas where most persons will have been tempted to believe that we'll have an increase in the number of persons tested positive for COVID-19, but unfortunately, it's not the case. What accounts for the low infection rate in most of these rural areas? Let's find out from Dr. Joseph Fulcom, who is a virologist and our guest tonight. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Badi.
What explains this low infection rate in most of these rural areas as compared to urban centers with regards to the spread of COVID-19?
Effectively, Bowden, there is a major difference between the urban and the rural area, and this is mainly due to demography. In the rural area, we have less crowded opportunities, whereas in the urban settings, we really have crowded gatherings, we really have massive population movement, and we also have places like market areas and many other gathering occasions like evening festive where you find people really choked up together. And this is why we have this big difference between the urban and the rural area. And why so? Because in terms of barrier measures, the practice is seemingly low in both urban and rural settings. And for this reason, we really want everybody living in an urban setting to make sure if you are within an administration, if you are working in a public or a private enterprise, make sure you should get tested on a regular basis such that we should be able to pick up those positive cases that we are seeing more and more during this season.
Thank you so much for those explanations, Doctor. Be it in the rural or in the urban center, one take-home message is clear that we must respect the different outlined barrier measures to avoid any increase in the number of persons tested positive for COVID-19 in Cameroon in general. Back to you.
Get infected just anywhere. And now on to parliamentary issues. The CEMAC Parliament has held its first ordinary session for 2021 virtually in Yaoundé with a budget of close to 90 billion CFA francs adopted. The closing of the 30-day session was presided over by the Parliament's President, Honorable Ilarion Etong, who hailed the members from the 6 CEMAC states for addressing issues that promote regional integration and peace. Sidonie Jopmandi reports.
The month-long legislation for the 60 members of the CEMAC Parliament holding the first ordinary session for 2021 was unordinary as they joined in a virtual meeting due to the coronavirus. Chaired by Cameroon's Honorable Ilarion Etong, the plenary saw the lawmakers review the functioning of CEMAC institutions and sub-regional integration processes, as well as vote the Parliament's budget for 2021.
We have to validate the mandate of two members of Parliament, Ms. Antoinette Mbangba, who is there, and the Honorable Bernard Teung of Le Bialem. We decided also to adopt the budget of this community. We voted the budget 89 billions.
They pledged to foster good governance and transparency, but also to encourage the respect of democratic values as the majority of Central African countries set for the polls this year.
Activities to mark this year's Commonwealth Day have been launched in Yaoundé under the theme Delivering a Common Future, Innovation and Transforming Societies. The event was presided over by External Relations Minister Mbila Mbila. Charles Ibune has highlights of the event.
Just last year, Cameroon marked 25 years of membership into the Commonwealth. And to launch activities this year to mark the Commonwealth Day, the country joined other Commonwealth member countries to be part of delivering a common future, connecting people, innovating and transforming.
As the Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Honourable PATYCHOU Scotland puts it, Cameroon is a special member of the Commonwealth family.
At the esplanade of the Ministry of External Relations, activities to launch this year's Commonwealth Day are chaired by External Relations Minister Mbila Mbila, who reviews the troop alongside Commonwealth High Commissioners in Cameroon.
As the 52nd member of the Commonwealth, Cameroon joined a unique force for global goodwill and took a decisive and irreversible step towards the economic and social progress of its citizens. It is a true projection of our bicultural and multi-ethnic nature. It ties with our national development ambitions and recent endeavors to foster profound connections among the Cameroonian people.
This year's Commonwealth Day is taking place within a particular context. The minister outlined the COVID-19.
In one of our late stories, an assessment of the just-ended African Nations Championship and success routes for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations have been made by Prime Minister Joseph John Gute. This was during the 28th committee session of officials charged with the organization of both competitions. Updates on the Olembe Sports Complex and the preparedness of the Lions were also presented, as we hear in this report by Christian Cheata.
Drawing lessons from last February's African Nations Football Championship (CHAN) to improve the organization of next year's AFCON in Cameroon. Such was the objective of the 28th session of the committee charged with preparing the CHAN and the AFCON.
The Prime Minister, head of government, asked us to implement measures in order to organize in the best condition the CAN in 10 months.
Sectors earmarked for improvement include ticketing with the introduction of online sales and improvement in communication, medical coverage and security. The state of sports infrastructures presented during the session acknowledged the smooth functioning of stadiums used during the CHAN. The main concern in that domain is the completion of the Olembe Sports Complex. The Minister of the Economy, who presented updates on the obtention of the 55 billion francs authorized by the head of state, said funds will soon be made available to complete the construction of the east entrance to Douala, as well as the Olembe Sports Complex. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute said minor hitches observed during the CHAN should be rectified well ahead of time to make next January's AFCON a bigger success.
And still in sports, the list of 37 players called to camp for the upcoming qualifying matches of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations against Cape Verde and Rwanda has been published. In the selection of the head coach of the Indomitable Lions, Antonio Conceição, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting makes a comeback. Baldwin Sama tells the details.
He was exceptional with Cameroon during the African Nations Championship. Brianna Kowasomo will be making his debut with the senior football team of Cameroon, a compensation for his brilliant show. Equally to make their debut with the senior football team are the under-20 Football Lions captain Meyapa Fongang and midfielder James Lea Saliki of FC Rennes in France. Making their return into the Lions' den are keepers Ashu Kevido of PWD of Bamenda after his show of brilliance at the African Nations Championship, and Jean Efala Kongep, the current Aqua United shotstopper. Captain Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, Serge Loko, Fai Collins, Ivan Neyu and Frank Bambok are making their return after missing out on the two previous matches. Conspicuously absent are shortstopper Andre Onana suspended and Ambroise Oyongo Bitolo injured. The rest of the players are the regulars, as the Lions gaffer called to camp 5 goalies, 11 defenders, 10 midfielders and 11 attackers. The Lions will play against Cape Verde away and Rwanda at home on the 25th and 30th of March this year respectively for the AFCON 2021 qualifiers.
And we end this edition of the 7th of the News with this press release from the Ministry of Defense. Cameroon's Ministry of Defense communicates that in a serious report posted online Friday, the 23rd of February 2021, Human Rights Watch distills supposedly documented allegations of destruction, rape and murder committed on the 1st of March 2020 by forces of defense and security in the village of Ebam, Eyumojok subdivision, Manu division of the Southwest region. It should be noted that during the night of Saturday, the 29th 29th of February to Sunday, the 1st of March 2020, a cordon and search operation led by elements of the 22nd Motorized Infantry Battalion gradually took position around Ebam village. The action itself was launched in the early morning of Sunday, the 1st of March 2020, and the aim of the operation was to put out of action terrorists who were using the locality as a rare base of planned attacks. The detachment, made up of 20 servicemen and not 50 soldiers, as the Human Rights Watch claims, was supervised and commanded by an officer. At the end of this operation, which lasted for a few hours, one locally manufactured weapon and other ammunition were recovered, 16 motorcycles were confiscated, a terrorist neutralized, 35 individuals arrested and placed at the disposal of the Manfe Gendarmerie Company for questioning. The officials of this unit immediately released an individual declared to be suffering from multiple pathologies before proceeding to question the other 34 who were also released on the evening of the same Sunday, the 1st of March 2020. And government, by this, condemns the act of the Human Rights Watch, saying that the report is not credible. This is signed by Atongfa Gemosi Research, Head of Communication Division of the Ministry of Defense. That ends this edition of the 7:30 News. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adam Bala. Good night and thanks for watching. Stay tuned to CRTV.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.